Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to Learning the Ropes. I'm XLJ, the OG, along with
Mr. B-Roll.
Oh, man, does it feel good to be back here on Learning the Ropes, man. A week removed from All Out, and not a whole lot happened in wrestling this past week, so it's kind of a boring week,
Yeah.
But we're so glad to be with you all here this Sunday night, back here on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch channel. And what a freaking weekend we had at All Out. My gosh. So we did Rampage. We did the Fan Fest. We did GCW's Art of War Games 2. We did the Tailgate Party. And, of course, All Out. And you know what the cool thing is, Mr. B-Roll? All of it is over on our channel, Cole TV. We've got vlogs about all of the stuff we did from last weekend. It's pretty awesome, am I right?
Yeah, it was tons of fun. I think Dad had said it best, maybe had a bit of wrestling hangover, and that was for sure.
Absolutely. And that segues into one of our favorite times of this show. How about a little bit of, you ready to get into the Plug-a-Palooza, Mr. B-Roll?
Yeah, we're starting out early, aren't we? So, Plug-a-Palooza, here we go. As already mentioned, Cole TV. What would we have? Well, we already have up our All Out week. All the videos are up and posted. Like we were saying, there's a GCW vlog, there's a Rampage, Fan Fest. Fan Fest one's really super cool. And obviously, All Out itself. We have all that, but we have even more coming for you over on Cole TV this week. We will have a new episode of our podcast, Colecast, and we'll be talking fantasy football.
How appropriate.
Mr. XLJ, the OG, love us some fantasy football. We are in one league together, but at least, and we normally do a couple other leagues. But yeah, football. Hope your team won today, everybody. If you have a team out there, and my team did not win, they did not lose.
So that narrows it down to either he's a Colts fan or a Texans fan. And hey, we're from Indiana, so I think you know who he's a fan for.
So there you go. And
can I just say this? My team triumphantly prevailed against the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears. Bear down. What? Yeah, I was happy. We won. Woohoo! Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, it's a cool podcast though, because we actually do a live fantasy draft on the podcast. So
yes,
it's pretty neat.
Did it live? Yes. So you can be there for all of the, oh man, I shouldn't have picked him, or the yes moment.
Yep.
So there you go. We also have a new episode of The Hunt, which is one of our favorite shows to do, to film, and I think hopefully everyone enjoys watching it because we get to buy stuff. And let me pull back the curtain a little bit. This is what I got. This is what I got. Mr. Tommy Dreamer himself.
The innovator of violence. I will not show mine because it's too far away for me to reach, number one. And number two, it's all about the surprise. But let's just say this. In this episode, we came across somebody had literally just brought in their wrestling collection of wrestling figures and stuff. And I've got a pretty cool custom figure that you have never seen before. And you will see on this episode of The Hunt. So, and here's something else, Mr. B-Roll. I don't think I even told you this, but I found out from talking to people at the Fan Fest. I can't think of the guy's name, but the dude who is always works AEW backstage and stuff. The long hair, he's on the Ethan Page's vlogs. They actually, when they were in Chicago, they did a vlog on Geek Toy Hut. But guess what? Ours is going to come out first. So, just saying.
Well, there we go. Circle gets the square. All right. So, that's enough about Cole TV. Let's talk a little bit about, Rootless Coffee. Because it's a
damn fine cup of coffee.
Fine cup of coffee, you know it is. It's guaranteed to put the Mo back into your Joe. I mean, I just caught a whiff of it.
I can smell it all the way over here.
Yeah, I caught a whiff of it. It smells amazing. Oh,
hey, Sweet Dollface Creations and Dad Hat. Good evening to you all.
What up? What up? Yes, most definitely. So use code Panda Coffee to save 15% all non-collabs. Guys, I got it. I use the code. I love it. It's amazing.
And it's what's the name of it again? It's a damn fine cup of coffee. Hi, Ron. I couldn't resist. He was near me.
Yeah.
He's with me at all times.
Yes.
You know, he made it to the Fan Fest that we went to.
He
just
did
saying.
Indeed. He did indeed. And also, you mentioned Sweet Dollface Creations. Beautiful time to plug the merch. I've got my Panda one on this evening.
I have our Cole TV shirt.
You've got your Cole TV. But yeah, we got all the merch over there. We've got, yes, it is better than Starbucks.
It's better than Starbucks. Hell yeah.
We've got, let's see.
Learning the Ropes.
Learning the Ropes shirt over there.
And Cole TV hats.
Cole TV shirt. Hats. Yeah, it's all over there. Plus, you got your Panda merch over there. So, there you go. There you go. All your wants and needs. Links in like our bio, so get your butt over there and go buy some merch. And how could we not forget that our buddy Selfbet and the Wrestletok Wolfpack now have merch on there as well. So, I mean,
hell yeah, and it's awesome merch. And Sweet Dollface Creations does an amazing job with this merch, as well as getting it shipped out to you. Fantastical experience. Highly recommend you go check them. You're gonna want to get you some merch. You're gonna love it.
Yes. Most definitely. All right. Now, obviously, you found us over here on the Panda Wrestling Twitch channel, and we hope you enjoy the Panda Wrestling Twitch channel. This is just one of many, 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 many shows, and we definitely invite you to not only follow, but also subscribe. And with that being said, I am very excited about this very next part.
Yes, for the first time ever on Learning the Ropes, we have a guest.
We have a very special guest indeed. I had to hold back on my Rootless Coffee promo because I had an idea, but you'll get to see that later. But
okay,
without further ado, let's bring him in. The Wrestletok Drip God himself, Mr. Hambone. Welcome to Learning the Ropes, sir. Welcome.
What's up, you fucking marks?
Fucking love it. Thank you so much. It is such an honor and pleasure, B-Roll and I, to have you here on Learning the Rope. And your talks are incredible. You can see a plethora of autographs in the background. And you just released some exciting news today, I believe it was, about coming up, if you want to tell us all about that.
Yeah, I am also going to be part of the Panda Wrestling Company on Twitch. And me and Khan from the 703, who if you don't follow, you should go follow him. We are going to start a podcast every Friday, starting this Friday, 7 to 9, called Ego Drip, the Wrestling Podcast.
I love the concept, too, of where you just focus on one wrestler like a week and just talk about like their personality and their swag and just everything about them that makes their character.
Yeah. Yes. So, I mean, if you don't follow Khan is a rapper. He's got a whole album on Spotify that's all about wrestling, which is awesome. If you don't listen to it, you should go find it. So, he's got that swag and confidence about him. I am the Wrestletok Drip God, as we all know. So we figured we'd do something a little bit different and, make the show kind of focused on style, but not just outside of the ring, not just their gear and how they dress, but inside the ring too, especially guys who have been wrestling for a long time and their style in the ring and how it's changed over the years. So that's the concept for the first hour. And then we've got a couple little bits that we plan to do for the second hour. And then just, general wrestling talk about what's going on in the world. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Watch this Friday, 7 to 9.
You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, I do love that because, I mean, not knocking any shows, but a lot of them, it does just talk about what's going on, and that's fine. But the more variety we can get on here, the better. So
right.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And like I say, man, your TikTok game is just on point, my friend. Like, and I think you and I kind of came in at the same time, really, around Wrestletok. I didn't know what the hell Wrestletok was until Mr. B-Roll here told me about it. So you've really only been on TikTok for like what, a couple months or something?
Yeah, probably about 6 months. I mean, I've only really even been using TikTok for maybe a year or so. I thought it was I thought it was just kind of for kids for a while, and then a friend of mine showed me a hilarious video that made me start using it, and started using it all the time. And then I think it was Luna Havoc. I think she was the first person who I came across that showed me that, there's a wrestling side to TikTok. Yeah, I mean, there's a side for everything to TikTok. And then the person who really got me interested in making videos was Wrecked, who as you know, not around for right now. And Wrecked is, he was probably my biggest supporter, and I started putting up just videos because I do have another podcast that's here for a local radio station. So I put up the interviews from that and just little videos that I had, and then I started making them, and then Wheezy shouted me out, and then things blossomed from there.
There you go.
There you go. That's awesome, man. And then what's the name of your podcast that you've got?
It is called Coco and the Bone. It is for a local radio station here, K-Rock. I'm in upstate New York, like I told you guys, but I'll tell everybody on here. There's a local radio station, K-Rock CNY. One of my best friends, he is the co-host of the very popular morning show, and we're both huge wrestling nerds, so we decided we were going to do a little side podcast for it. So we basically have a professional radio station at our use whenever we have an interview. It's not something that's that we do like regularly. We do it whenever we can get a interview, or we go to a show or something like that. But yeah, it's called Coco and the Bone. We're on Facebook, we're on SoundCloud. There's another podcast hosting site that's coming up that's going to be hosting us too, so you can find us on there.
Well, there we go, indeed.
I think we lost Jeremy.
I think maybe we did.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah. Hey, I'll sing Let It Go if I need to. Well, there we go, indeed. But yeah, most definitely. Let's keep this gravy train rolling. Yeah, and you've had people like Eric Bischoff, and let's see what else. Anybody else you want to?
Yeah, we interviewed Eric Bischoff. We just did Duke the Dumpster, as everybody on here is becoming friends with Duke the Dumpster. We just recorded one with him on Friday. We're going to edit that, get that out. But we've done Eddie Kingston, J.J. Dillon, Warhorse, Mark Jindrak. We've done a couple wrestling adjacent podcasts. There's a comic book called Headlocked that's out there, written by a guy named Michael Kingston. Which you guys should go check it out if you've never heard of it. It's a great comic book. And we interviewed him. I'm going to be involved in a wrestling movie that's being shot up here, and I interviewed the creator of it. So, we've got a bunch of different interviews.
There you go. Definitely, it definitely is enough to keep you busy. Mm-hmm. Well, Hambone, if you do not mind, give us maybe just a couple of fun facts about you. I know one, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I know one thing we have in common at least.
Okay. And what's that?
We're both dog lovers.
Well, yes, we are. I'm married. My wife and I don't have any kids. We are child-free by choice, but we do have 3 dogs. We just got another puppy 2 weeks ago, actually, and she is awesome. She's the best, most well-behaved, sweetest dog ever. So yeah, I mean, I'm a dog lover. Wrestling, obviously, I've been watching wrestling since I was like 7, I think. I don't think I've ever missed an episode. I love tattoos, covered in tattoos. I've got wrestling tattoos. I'm also a huge fan of Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. Those are my other nerdy obsessions. So yeah, that's me.
See, I knew we were meant to be friends. And XLJ the OG, are you back? Are you steady? It looked like you were good. And Talk for me, buddy. I don't know. We will just keep the gravy train rolling. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
We got double Jeremy.
We're live. There's my doppelganger's trying to take over, I think. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Let's see if we can get you out, though. The other one out.
We'll get that the pretender out.
This is like SummerSlam '94 all over again.
Right, I know, man. You got the fake XLJ and the real XLJ right here.
Does he get that reference though?
No, I don't think so. But we're working on it. So my apologies, everybody. I don't know, my phone or my camera here's got a mind of its own. But anyways, I caught some of what you guys were talking about. I myself a big dog person as well. I got 4 of my own. Man, and they keep us busy. So
yeah.
I've got a Boston Terrier, a Beagle Bulldog mix, a Coonhound, and a Boston Beagle mix. Motley Crew.
Yeah, that's how we are too. We got a bunch of different things. We don't ever get the same thing. They're all a bunch of mutts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got a golden puppy right now as well. So.
Oh yeah, Reese.
Yeah.
Great name. Wasn't sure if I was supposed to drop her name. I'm sorry, bro.
It's
dropping
okay.
her too, brother.
I don't think anyone's gonna come steal my dog. She is pretty cute though.
So I figured before we get balls deep in talking about our topic tonight, I think we got to address the elephant in the room. We've been talking about. Maybe we can kind of go around and give our thoughts on this whole media scrum bullshit.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Something happened at a media scrum?
Yeah, believe it or not, Larry, the dog got loose again. Let me say this real quick before we get. It's fucking Larry. It was amazing to be in the arena when Larry got loose and was running around ringside, and there was a freaking 10,000 people chanting Larry. It was awesome, and the dog was cool as hell. It didn't scare the shit out of him or anything. He was just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, he went towards the ring. He was like, let's go.
Yeah, he was ready to get in there.
Man, as a dog owner, though, I like if that had happened, I'd have been shitting my pants. Personally.
Oh my god. Oh man. So side story, I just tell you a real quick story. One of the last times I was in Chicago, I took my wife and we took our 2 dogs and I took her to the Allstate Arena to see Reba McEntire. And our littlest dog, Reggie, he's a Boston Beagle mix. Well, as we're leaving the next day, and we were staying in a hotel right by the Allstate Arena, right off the interstate. Well, as we took him out before we were getting ready to get on the road, he got out of his freaking harness and was running near the interstate. And somehow he still lived to tell the tale. I was like, Jesus, this gave me a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, been there, brother.
Yeah. So, but no, the whole deal. You guys have put videos out. I mean, honestly, I haven't. Just not because of I have my thoughts, but it's just I've been balls deep between working and putting out all the vlogs over on our channel. But yeah, I feel like I hate to say it is what I mean it is. Ultimately at the end of the day, as you're reading more and more about it, everybody's at fault. Number one, Tony Khan should nip this shit in the bud a long time before all this shit happened. My understanding is Punk was planning on going on this tirade or at the press conference after the fact. But I feel like the Bucks, are notorious for kind of poking the bear at times, and they poked the wrong fucking bear. I think Punk really need to go in and just because if you look at it, how that press conference started, it was just there wasn't a question asked. It was just Punk just shooting from the hip pretty much. And And then, of course, the shit that happened after the fact, then you hear, oh, the Bucks kicked in the door. No, the Bucks didn't kick in the door. And it's just like, was it this? Was it that? And you hear, like, Kenny was trying to save Larry, the dog, and then the whole stuff with Steel. I mean, at the end of the day, the shit just shouldn't have happened to begin with, but it has happened. I will say this. I think they've done a good job of trying to move on and move past this. One thing that I do feel like kind of pissed me off about this, among other things, is like, man, to think of like the momentum they have with MJF, and like that's all we should have been fucking talking about at that press conference. And like MJF was an afterthought. And think of the months and months of storytelling they did, having him lay low, and just for it to feel like it kind of just got ruined and overshadowed by that shit. But talking as a longtime wrestling fan, I think at the end of the day, what worries me the most is what got me really back watching wrestling here in the States was AEW. And we've been around a long time. I know you can attest to this, Hambone. We've seen this shit before. You know, think of WCW. And the problem when you have active wrestlers that are in executive roles is it always sets up for failure. So I'm just hoping that they've learned their lesson. We can move past this shit and just get back to wrestling and enjoying wrestling, what we should be doing, man. But that's kind of my take on it. Let's see, fellas. And what's up, next, Dan Trainer?
Yeah, so I made the video on it, and I mentioned in the video I do feel a little protective of AEW because they are a big reason of why I got into wrestling in general. But yeah, not to beat a dead horse or anything, but yeah, I mean, it did, like you were saying. We should have been talking about the amazing pay-per-view, the amazing return of MJF, and instead everyone was, talking about this, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have said this, you will never hear me say, oh, this is a work, oh, this is a shoot, because we don't really know. I mean,
speculate all you want, but
you don't 100% know. But yeah, kudos to Kenny Omega, though. The dog lover in me is like, thank you for saving the dog, if anything else. Like, so, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Hambo?
I mean, my thoughts on it, I made my video too. Look, I'm a punk mark. I like... Shawn Michaels is 1A for me. CM Punk is 1B. That's how big of a fan I am of him. Saying that, he acted like a complete asshole. He acted extremely unprofessional. I feel like he could have brought it up to Tony in the back instead of doing this, which I guess we don't know that he didn't, but I'm just assuming, that, nothing was said. At the same time, I'm also a Young Bucks mark. I think everybody is in the wrong here. I think CM Punk was wrong for going about it the way he did. I think he looked extremely unprofessional the way he did it. I think, like you guys said, he overshadowed MJF's return, something that we've been building to for months. He sat there and criticized everybody for being unprofessional while basically doing the most unprofessional thing he could have done. I think that, if the stories are true where the Elite, busted down his door looking for a fight, obviously they're in the wrong there. I think Adam Page has some fault as well, for what he said months ago. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. There was no reason for him to say it on TV. And I also think that Tony Khan should shoulder a lot of the blame as well. I personally think that he should have nipped it in the bud 4 months ago when Hangman said what he said, because it became pretty clear afterwards that there was heat between Punk and Hangman, and he should have figured it out then. But more so, as his boss, he also should have just stopped CM Punk right then and there when he started talking. Just get up and be like, no, cut the mics off. We're not doing this. You're not doing this here. And just shut him down. And he didn't do that. And I guess I see both sides with him, why he wouldn't. I guess, sometimes you're in a position like that. You don't know what to do. But I do think that Tony needs to take a little bit more control. I feel like he's a little too passive with some of these guys, and he was a little too passive with Punk. I think really, everybody getting suspended, I think that's a good idea, because I don't really think that there's a good solution here. I really don't. I think if you punish or you fire the Elite, you piss people off. And if you punish and fire Punk, you piss people off. So I think you suspend everybody involved, bring them back, sit them all down with Tony Khan and maybe a mediator and say, hey, you guys are going to figure this out. And then we're going to move on from it. And the next time it happens, if you can't be professional and work with each other, you're out of here. This is your one chance. We're going to let it slide this one time, be professional, or you're gone. At least give the fans the benefit by doing that, by not just immediately terminating anybody, because obviously we've all been waiting for Punk to come back forever. Nobody wants to see the Bucks go anywhere. So, give them all the one pass for the fans. But after that, you got to put your foot down and say, hey, this happens again, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like you've said, XLJ, if and when they do come back, EVP title,
just be done with it. It never works when you have an active wrestler in any type of executive role. It's just a fucking recipe for disaster. Just nip that shit in the butt.
Here's my thing with the EVP though. I could have swore that a while ago, it was even before Cody had left, that there was a report that came out that said that Tony Khan basically took all of their power away from them. They were EVPs in name only, basically. They don't have any power or decision-making power, I believe.
No, I think you're right. I do believe so. I'm pretty
sure that's the case.
Yeah, I think you're right, Hambone. I think that did happen. So I don't know, but even just the title itself, just ditch the damn thing, because it's just gonna cause for there to be like pettiness like this. Just get rid of it. Focus on the wrestling. And I will say this, I got to give props to Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, and Bryan Danielson for really kind of bringing that locker room together, because I thought this past Wednesday's Dynamite was one of the best shows they've done in a while. I mean, they've been doing some good ones, but man, they knocked it out of the park this past week. And one last thing I want to say on this, along with MJF, the other thing we should have been talking about from All Out is the fucking Acclaimed and how over they are. That was being there live for that was fucking nuts. The chants, oh my God, scissor me daddy. Just incredible.
My scissor me daddy ass shirt shipped yesterday, and I am so excited to get it and wear it in public with my wife, completely out of context.
So my wife, she's not into wrestling at all, but she likes little things here and there. She is totally all on for the Acclaimed, and I've convinced her. She's like, I need a scissor me daddy ass shirt. So we're going to get matching scissor me daddy ass shirts.
Yes.
So that's it. It's funny because I met the Acclaimed 6 months ago when they were in Rochester. And that was the first thing I said to them when I went up to them. I was like, why do I not have a scissor me daddy ass shirt? And they told me why. And they said that Warner Media didn't want them making it, because it was one thing to say it, but then another thing to put it on a shirt and sell it. And they literally, there was a woman who was in the corner, and they pointed her out, and they were like, she's the one who handles all the merch. You got to go talk to her. And I literally made a beeline for her, and I said, why do I not have this shirt yet?
So what you're saying is, in a roundabout way, you are responsible for the Scissor Me Daddy ass shirt.
I think so. I think
you're right.
I think they owe me royalties,
There you go. The number one selling shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees right now is the Scissor Me Daddy ass.
I do agree with the one guy at the media scrum, though. I mean, if there was ever a time to call an audible,
no kidding.
That was the match, man.
Well, I think it's safe to say at the Grand Slam, or whatever the hell they're calling it, they're at Arthur Ashe, they're winning the belts.
I would hope so. That honestly, one of my criticisms of AEW, and WWE does this too. It's not just AEW, but they have a habit of just sticking to the plan instead of pulling the trigger on people when they're hot, and then they do it a year later and nobody cares. That's how I felt about Jurassic Express winning the titles. They were hot a year and a half ago. Nothing happened. They didn't win belts for another 6 to 8 months. And then the run was kind of there.
It wasn't as magical. You're absolutely right. It wasn't as magical.
I know Tony loves to have like these really long title reigns, and I like that he does that. It makes the titles meaningful, but I really think that there are times where you got to go, all right, these guys are hot right now. I got to pull the trigger now. I think WWE did that with Braun Strowman. They pulled the trigger on him way too late. He was popular as hell like 3 years ago. He was so over. And they were like, nah, put him with a kid and win the tag titles.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
That's some good shit. That's some good shit, pal. Hey, just one more thing I want to say before we get into our talk about our topic. One thing that is, I think, going completely under the radar we should be talking about. How about the fact that fucking Sheamus and Gunther got 5 stars and a hell of a fucking match?
And they deserved it, too. That was the best match on the card.
That was insane. I mean, I knew going into it, I was like, yo, that's what I want to see the most. And they did not disappoint. That match was fucking awesome. Yes.
That's right. Like, and I'll say this. Having that match and then Kingston and Ishii the same weekend, oh, man, perfect. That's your chop fest right there.
A lot of man meat going on that weekend.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask.
Eddie Kingston's a perfect example of somebody who they're not pulling the trigger on when he's hot.
No kidding, right?
BT dubs.
Now, let me ask, while we're still on this topic and before we go into our topic of the day, let me ask you two this. You wrestling fans for years. I'm the newbie here. Is wrestling always like this? Because this has to be like the craziest year in wrestling ever.
No. I mean, think about it. Like, we're talking in the same year, all this shit that just happened over the weekend, in the same year where the fucking father of wrestling pretty much leaves and retires, with Vince being gone. Yeah, this has been maybe the fucking craziest year in wrestling, honestly. I mean, that's saying something.
There's always crazy shit going on. I mean, especially like in the the 90s and the early 2000s. But I think social media plays a part in that. We didn't know as much back then. We just assumed, or if you read the dirt sheets, you knew a little bit more. But I really think like Vince McMahon, that's the story of the year.
Absolutely.
We all thought that guy was dying, at gorilla position. And that is just blew the world apart to me.
Yeah,
personally.
Like when you started hearing about all that shit and stuff, and with the way the world works now, you're like, holy shit, he's probably going to have to step down in some capacity.
I didn't think he would. I literally was like, it doesn't matter. It'll be gone in a couple of weeks. He'll pay a couple people. It'll be gone. He gets away with everything. He said the N-word on TV, and nobody did anything.
And the fact that he fucking walks out like the day all this shit happens, he comes out on SmackDown. Yeah. It's just like, he doesn't give a fuck. He does not give a fuck. But isn't it amazing to look at how that product has changed in the past month?
Yeah.
I mean, they're killing it now. It's of course we're still in the honeymoon phase.
Terrible timing for AEW to be going through all this shit.
No kidding, right? Well, and Mr. B-Roll and I kind of talked about this too. It seems like, in wrestling, you always have where you're in love with something, but then you've got to shit on some other product, whether it's like a wrestler or a company or whatever. And it just seems like, okay, AEW right now is the easy target.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is what it is. Mm-hmm. All right, boys, are you ready to get into the topic at hand that we're going to discuss tonight? And that
I already forgot what it was. So yeah, let's just go.
Well, we're going to talk about FanFest, which I think is going to be a fun. And by the way, everybody watch it. Please feel free to chime in with some comments. Let us know, some of your favorite, going to wrestling conventions or FanFest or interactions with wrestler or anything, because we would love to hear them. But you know me, Mr. B-Roll, I'm always a stickler for the origin stories of wrestling conventions. And I mean, if you think about it, they haven't, it's changed drastically over the years to what it is now, to what it was many, many, many years ago. So technically, the very first wrestling convention for fans, so actually you got to go all the way back to 1965, and it was the Cauliflower Alley Wrestling Club. So they had a banquet dinner, put some wrestlers in the Hall of Fame, and there you go. That was your kind of little fan fest. Of course, as we always say on here, as well as all of our other channels and stuff we put out, you could always Wikipedia that shit. So, but that's kind of like the origins of it. But like, it's just interesting to see where it evolved from the early days of tape trading and shit like that to where and you'd have wrestlers there. Matter of fact, Mr. B-Roll, if you could indulge me for a moment, I've got some footage. I want to show you some old wrestling conventions that I think everybody will get a kick out of. So I'm ready whenever you are, sir.
Let's hope I picked the right one.
I hope so, too.
There we go.
All right. Okay, so this is from like a convention in pro wrestling, like in 1991. I think it's at the Ramada or something like that. It'll say on here, but this is I find fascinating because you're going to see like Ric Flair, you're going to see Rick Rude. Yeah, August 24th, 1991, at the Ramada Hotel in Queens. Jim Cornette's in this. Woman. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Luthez, and just the fact that this is on like freaking camcorder footage, like just kind of give you a taste of wrestling conventions even back then. Look at that beautiful Nature Boy right there. Look at that beautiful head of hair right there. Thank God, he had to cut it a little bit, but he didn't go all the way into like the Spartacus gimmick. Look at that, man. Woo! And now you can get some of the.
Spartacus.
What's
fucking Jim Herd?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, fuck him. What's the name of his weed he's selling now? Is it called Ric Flair Drip or something?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just know that he's apparently got a wing place too called Woo Wings.
Woo
it's all
Wings,
over the podcasts I listen to.
He's got everything going on. Thanks, comrade. Here you see the fabulous Moolah. And hopefully she's not abusing female talents at this point.
I was just going to go there. You got there before I did.
And look at ravishing Rick Rude. Look at that mustache. And this girl coming over asking for a mustache ride. No, I'm just kidding. Look at that. Rocking the fanny pack, too. You got to love it. All he needs to be wearing is some Subas pants, and then it's like I'm transported back to 1991. I just love like this setup and stuff here. I don't know who the hell that guy is, but maybe it's like
he's got a nice mullet though.
Yeah, he does. There you see the late great Nancy Benoit woman. What a talented lady she was too, man. Doesn't get nearly enough credit, I think. Phenomenal manager. There's superstar Billy Graham, looking as bitter and pissed off as he always looks. Probably going to blame somebody for something that is hurting on him. God love Billy Graham, though. Hey. Look at that mullet, man.
Different times, man. Different
I
times.
just love how this is like footage exists. Because it's not like today where like we went around was recording stuff. I mean, this is like somebody's got this giant ass camera that is going around recording stuff.
Man, all the mullets you would think it's 2022.
Let's make it a comeback, brother.
Not for me.
Look at the beautiful woman cutting a promo here. And at this point, I don't think she's married. There's Corny.
Oh, God.
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Bitching about something. Complaining about ruining the business, like, the vets before him didn't think he was in his stupid fucking suits and tennis racket.
The funny thing is, you say that, they do, like, later on in this video, they do, like, not a press conference, but just a panel, and he's just bitching about the product, how it sucks ass. In 1991, he's bitching about the product.
Of course. I personally, I love Jim Cornette, as a wrestling character, but goddamn, he's fucking annoying in real life.
Yeah. I've got a funny Cornette story for you. I actually was at an independent show where the promoter wasn't able to pay him in the midnight, for what they fully wanted. So, the intermission, he comes walking out or running out, well, walking for him, out of the locker room, just going on just this tirade like, oh, fuck the owner. He's trying to get his fucking mother to pay us, and that bitch doesn't got the money, and just going on. Pretty much they ended up leaving. So, anyways. So I got some other fan fest footage I want to show you guys here, too.
Do you want me to keep the screen on for you?
Yeah, keep it on.
Okay.
This is home camcorder footage behind the scenes from WrestleMania 12 weekend.
That the Godwins?
That is the Godwins. Henry O and Phineas I, baby. And there you see a young Bradshaw. And there's the ringmaster himself, Steve Austin, Stone Cold, before he was Stone Cold. Well, actually, I think he just became Stone Cold at this time frame. But this is like they're staying at this hotel there in Anaheim. Like I say, when you just coming across this footage, it just blows my mind. I love seeing stuff like this because it's putting you really in the moment.
You need to keep bugging Tillman to come in and join you so you guys can do that tag again. That's what I heard.
See, that fan was asking about Brian Pillman signing. There's Stu Hart. Yeah, where the hell am I, kid? I love Stu. Hey, look, it's Wrestletok or TikTok's Duke the Dumpster Drosy right there. Oh, there's Stu. Poor Stu. Just trying to check into his hotel. I'll fast forward a little bit. This is interesting. There's your boy Hambone, HBK working out right before his big, almost career-defining moment of winning the championship at WrestleMania 12.
Could that shirt be any smaller or tighter?
Look at this. They're like, no, fuck you people. You can't. You shouldn't be fun.
I'd look like that, too, if I shaved my chest.
I love, too, how it looks like Shawn Michaels is working out next to Mr. Belding on an elliptical. Just throwing that out there. Okay, no, he's got hair. I take it back. But maybe Mr. Belding before he lost his hair. Look at that setup in the room, too, with the old freaking TV. Hey, the room we just stayed in Chicago had an old TV like that, I think.
Oh, my God. That room you guys were in, I saw that video. Jesus.
Piece of shit. Oh, and look, it's Sunny before she got like 12 DUIs. Oh. She got more than that. But I just remember too back in the day when they do like WrestleMania weekends and shit, and they would do like little stuff like this, like they'd have a softball game and stuff. They'd do like they'd kind of have like a little meet and greet. It wasn't anything like huge. You know, you could meet like some of the wrestlers like at a banquet or something. Just to think, like, back in the day when everybody was, like, she was so hot and bothered. Everybody was, like, love Sunny, and oh, how the mighty have fallen. Interesting note, too, I don't know if you picked up on this, Hambo. See the guy with the camcorder there, that redheaded dude? Like, he was in some of the WWF commercials for, like, David House.
Yeah, I remember that guy. He's got a goatee, too, right?
Yeah.
And he was in, like, the VHS commercials they did and stuff. Yeah, I remember him. I don't know like anything like about Matt, but I remember that guy from WWF videos in the mid-90s.
That is the fastest I've ever seen Howard Finkel run. I'm sorry. R.I.P. Howard. I think that's that's $1 Million Man, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I cannot make out who that is yet.
I think
is that Was that Bob Holly?
Marty Jannetty and Leap Cassidy.
Oh, it is Yeah, that is
the
Al
New
Snow.
Rockers.
Wow. There's Savio Vega.
Next we have Isaac Jacob.
Oh my God. Oh, Kane. Poor Kane.
The fact that this footage even exists is beautiful.
I know, right? Isn't this amazing? Like, just like I say, I just love, like, it takes you back in a time machine, and like you relive, you know, you can relive this, even if you weren't there, you know. Look at that camcorder Duke has.
PJ Walker.
That is Aldo Montoya, aka Just Incredible.
Mr. Perfect.
And of course, the perfect athlete, Mr. Perfect. You got to have him in any sort of baseball game.
Wait, is Just Incredible there as Aldo Montoya but maskless?
I believe so. Yeah, I think he's still using that gimmick pretty much.
That's
And here comes Hardcore Holly, or I'm sorry, Bob Holly, Sparky Plug. I wouldn't call that to his face. But. Barry Horowitz, you can just tell by the pat on the back, baby.
PJ!
Oh, Ahmed Johnson. Look at his outfit too, and you can tell this is of the times. All spandex. Like, I don't even think that really qualifies as like a tank top.
Honestly, is that a spaghetti strap?
Yes. Oh my God. That's incredible.
Why would you even put a shirt on at that point?
It defeats the purpose. Yes, you even got the Bushwhackers and still in the gimmick. Love it. I wonder if the Sheepards ever thought, you know what? 15 or 20 years from now, we're going to be still doing this shit and we're going to be playing a baseball game for charity.
Everybody remembers, they'll know it worked.
Yeah. I love the Bushwhackers growing up, man. And of course, one Michael P.S. Hayes, or Doc Hendricks. God, what a moniker Doc Hendricks was.
You guys listen to Matt Hardy has a podcast?
I haven't. I knew of it. He had one, but I haven't listened to it.
He's got some interesting stories about Michael P.S. Hayes. Let me tell you.
I can only imagine. I've always heard the story about them, like with where they got in the fight or whatever on the hill or something.
Him and Gangrel, yeah, headbutting each other
yeah.
on the hill, yeah.
Well, that just kind of gives you an idea of just some kind of like fan fest from the past, pretty much, and what all it entailed. Like, I can remember too, like watching like Coliseum videos and watching like WrestleManias, and where they would plug like what they did WrestleMania weekend. Like, I remember WrestleMania 4, they had a marathon in Atlantic City or something. And they did like a vignette with Mr. Fuji. And like Mr. Fuji was in the marathon in like full garb, and he somehow miraculously finished the marathon when you know damn full well he didn't even run the marathon. Hambone, you may remember this. Do you remember, like, I think it was around WrestleMania 4, and there was an episode of I think it was I want to say it was Prime Time, and it was Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, and they were there in Atlantic City, and in between matches they would like show vignettes and stuff. And like, it showed Bobby was like training because he had a match at WrestleMania 4 there with the Islanders against the Bulldogs and Coco Beware.
Mm-hmm.
So
I vaguely remember that, but that was a little bit before my time. I was 1 year old at WrestleMania 4. So
okay.
I have watched all of that stuff. That's how I became a fan. Was I just went and watched Coliseum home video and watched all the stuff from before, but I do vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I've got some years on you. I'm literally the same age as WrestleMania, so it's like it's gonna be weird for me when we hit 40. I'm like, oh fuck. But
I'm hitting 35 in less than 10 days, and I'm like, ugh.
Oh yeah.
Well, happy early birthday to you, good sir.
Thanks, big guy.
Happy early birthday! And can I just make a recommendation for you, sir? When you're getting that age, you want to know what your best friend in life's going to become?
What's that?
This right here, BioFreeze. BioFreeze is amazing.
Hey,
this stuff.
They're not our sponsor.
Hey,
Rootless Coffee is our sponsor.
Rootless Coffee. We need to get BioFreeze in here because it's a lifesaver. It's been saving my ass this week. Good God.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to need when you start to get to your 40s? You're going to need some coffee to stay awake because, God damn it, all I do is want to sleep. And that's where Rootless Coffee comes in.
So you're right. They put the Mo back in your Joe, right, Mr. B-Roll? Or did I say that right?
Or they put the ham back in your bone.
They'll change the angle of your dangle.
I love it. Already getting into Plug-a-Palooza. Hell yeah. So kind of like the back of the day, it was very simplistic. And I think once again, you got to go back to WrestleMania weekends and like with the advent and the birth of Access. And like when Access got introduced to WWE, that's just like when it took on a whole new thing because you could not only could you meet all the wrestlers and stuff, but they also the coolest thing I thought was like you could see artifacts and stuff that they used throughout the years in the WWE, which I always thought was amazing. And I think they did panels too, and it evolved into like where they'd have some wrestling going on as well and stuff. But then I mean, from Access to WrestleMania weekend. What it is now. Think about like what WrestleMania weekend is now compared to 6 or 7 years ago. Oh, it's a night and day difference. Everybody's in town. Every company that somebody is doing a show, and like it just not only that you have like WrestleCon going on too. So you have Access WrestleCon, the Hall of Fame for WWE, WrestleMania of course, and everybody that's been in there like from Ring of Honor to Impact. To GCW, to like all these other shows that they do. Hey, Hambone, let me ask you, have you had the chance to actually go to WrestleMania Access?
I have not. I have never been to a WrestleMania. Going to WrestleMania is on my bucket list. And one of the reasons that I haven't is because there is Access. And if I go, it's probably going to be a one-time thing, and it's just so expensive because I absolutely want to do Access. WWE with the situation that they have with like their meet and greets and stuff, they're not easy to get to. So I definitely do want to do Access one day. It is on my bucket list.
I'm in the same boat as you. I have not been to a WrestleMania, but it's definitely on my bucket list. I do, in my mind, I gotta say 40's intriguing me. The fact that it's in Philly. I've always wanted to check out Philly anyways. Want to check out the ECW arena. So
I'm only a couple hours away from Philly, so it's intriguing me too.
I think we all need to book it now, man. All Wrestletok needs to show up at WrestleMania 40 in Philly.
It would
needs to happen.
It would be something if we could all start saving now, fellas. That's all I can say.
You know, WWE does have packages you can put a down payment on, I believe.
Really?
But yeah, they do. But like, there's so many other ones that have blown up, and one I want to talk about too, especially for you, Mr. Hambone, because you got the shirt on right now, is Comrade's Starcast. And what I think is awesome is you've got the experience of not only going to Starcast, but also working at Starcast. So can you tell us kind of like what it was like working versus like actually being there as a fan?
So, like I really did get to see, as somebody who's gone to a bunch of conventions, there's always stuff that annoys me as a fan. Things that, I go there and I'm like, oh, why didn't they do this? How could they not have thought of this? Blah, 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 and all that. And working Starcast, it really showed me how much the ridiculous amount of work that these people put into it. And really that, it's just really hard to do these conventions in an extremely what's the word I want to use?
Short time frame?
Not that, but just to make them, you know, work as easily as possible and as efficiently as possible and all that. It's just hard, you know, when you've got that many people there, when you've got, you know, there's situations that come up that you didn't even think of beforehand, you know, so it really did show me the other side and how difficult it is for them to do it and how much work they put into it on their end. So it did definitely give me a different perspective on them.
And then when you were working it, like you were doing like, who was it? Was it for Penta? I thought you were doing like lineups for, or.
So the first day that I was there, I had a couple meet and greets set up that I had paid for. So I did that. And then after that, I basically just did whatever they needed me to do. So I set up chairs for like Bryan Danielson and the Four Horsemen. And I, you know, if they needed something done, I was just there to do it. The second day I was put with Black Taurus from Impact. And I ended up basically being his handler for his meet and greets. So I scanned all the tickets that he had pre-sold. I ended up doing it for Bandito too, because Bandito was right next to us, and the volunteer that they had assigned to him didn't show up. So I was just kind of going in between both of them, taking pictures for fans, all that. And then the third day, I was supposed to do the same thing, but with Hammerstone. Hammerstone's flight actually got canceled, and he missed the entire show. And then a bunch of volunteers didn't show up for the second day, and I luckily got put with Johnny Gargano instead. So I spent the day doing the same thing for Johnny Gargano, handling his line, taking pictures for him, scanning all the tickets for him, and all that. So, and then after I was done with that, I went over to where the Ric Flair's last match event was and helped set that up.
There you go.
That's awesome.
And how cool is that? Because that was probably like what, maybe, let's see, how between from when he came back to WWE?
It's probably about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's I keep saying that, like, it's crazy that less than 2 months ago, I was just like sitting next to him, shooting the shit, helping fans out, you know, working with them, with Scarlett and Killer Cross right next to me. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, 6 weeks later, they're all back. There was somebody else there. Who else have they brought back? There was somebody else that they brought back that was there.
Dexter?
I can't think who it was. Yep, Dexter Lumis. Yeah. Dexter Lumis was there as well, and here he is. He's back. Like, I was really just, yeah, it was him. Yeah, I keep thinking there was somebody else, but yes. And then they're all back all of a sudden. I was just like hanging around with them less than 2 months ago. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, what a small world. It is crazy to think of like how all those talents was there and like not really knowing where they were going next, and all of a sudden they're back home and back. Yeah. And the cool thing about all this resurgence with all these talents, I think, they brought them back and they are presenting them in the proper way they should have been presented in the first fucking place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Cross, for example, should not have been a fucking gladiator, whatever that bullshit that turned that 70-plus-year-old man on. Like that's fucking Killer Cross. That's what he should be. That's what he is now.
And I do think at that time, that Starrcast happened probably a week after Vince retired. So I think at that time that Johnny did already have an idea that he was going back, because every fan who came up to him said, "Hey, where are we going to see you next? When are you coming back?" And he kept saying, "Oh, I don't know, you know, where do you want to see me?" And they'd say, and then he'd go, "Well, you know, the world has changed in the past week, so who knows what you're going to see." So I feel like he already knew. He just, you know, was trying, keeping people guessing, especially with, you know, especially with SummerSlam the next day. You know, he didn't want to say, "Hey, I'm coming back," because he knew it wasn't going to be then, because it would have been obvious.
Yeah. And something that, like, I know I listen to Busted Open, like, daily, and Bully Ray was saying, that I think they had a conversation that weekend, that SummerSlam weekend, and he was just like, "Bubba, I'm in a really good spot right now." He was like, I bet you are, because you got one over here that's like, oh, come on over, and then you got the guy that made you a star over here saying, like, why don't you come on back? So, there you go.
I think that's what, like I said, that's the one thing that excites me with all these guys that's been going back is they're not going back there just to be thrown under the bus. I love what they've been doing with Cross. Like the shit they did this past week on SmackDown, like with the presenting it with like in the kind of having the cinematic effect, but not like over the top. You know, because if you've listened to Cross's interviews and stuff, like he's really into like horror flicks and stuff like that. So having that kind of mind frame, I love it. I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with him going forward, as well as the rest of the talents that's there too. And it's good to see Gargano, that pop he got. Holy crap! Yeah,
Brian Alvarez actually criticized that whole going to black and white once Cross came out. He said he thought it was stupid and he thought that it was too far, but I thought it was pretty cool that they did it. I thought it was cool too, like a week or two ago when him and Scarlett did the interview, like, you know, where the crowd was, but it was black and white. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I don't like there's cinematic aspects I do like and I don't like. Like when we were going through the pandemic and all the cinematic matches that was getting pumped out, like some of them was okay, some of them was utter shit. I'm talking about the swamp match or whatever with fucking Bray Wyatt and Braun, but I that element of it though I'm okay with. I like seeing little nuances like here and there kind of put in there. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. B-Roll, I think it's come that time again. You ready for a little plug-a-palooza?
I am ready. I'm ready indeed. You know who I think could do a heck of a plug-a-palooza, though, is Hambone. But we won't put him on the spot like that. But I know he has it in him. I know he does. So if you want to be like my what's the word I'm looking for? Like my hype man in the background, go for it.
Well, first and foremost, go right ahead, Mr. Hambone, if you want to plug your stuff, of course.
Yeah,
because we know you got a brand new show coming up this Friday on the Panda Wrestling Network.
Yep. So we're going to do that. Me and Con from the 703, we're starting Ego Drip, the wrestling podcast, every Friday, 7 to 9. First episode is this Friday on Panda Wrestling Company here on Twitch. Like I said, I've got another podcast, Coco and the Bone. You probably follow me on TikTok if you're watching this. I have Instagram. I have Twitter. Twitter is notorious_bone. Instagram is my real name, Thomas.Cummings920. I post all my meet and greet photos on there. That's all my stuff.
There you go. The Drip God himself never disappoints. And speaking of drip, why don't you go on over to Sweet Dollface Creation, get you a Panda shirt, get you a Cold TV, Learning the Ropes shirt, a hat. Let's see, they have Wrestletok Wolfpack and something over there now. And I can't mention this enough. Not only are you supporting us and being fans of us, you're supporting a small business. I mean, come on. She does an amazing job.
Fucking marks.
Yeah. Thank you.
And these shirts are so comfortable. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Literally, other than this hat, this is all I'm wearing right now. But it's really comfortable. Okay. You okay there, Mr. B-Roll? Did I throw you off, pal?
I am golden, pony boy. Now, and if you're watching us here, you have found us on the Panda Wrestling Twitch channel. We invite you to like, follow, subscribe. Oh, you know what? No, one thing we forgot to mention earlier. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. It's pretty simple. Literally, just Google the instructions. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out too. Now,
Google that
coffee.
Shit.
That's right. Rootless coffee. It's a
damn
fine cup of coffee, and you can save money. Who does not like saving money? Use code PANDACOFFEE to save 15% off. This coffee is guaranteed to put the ham back into your bone, the mo back into your Joe, and the drip back into your Wrestletok Drip God.
Very nice.
And last but certainly not least, what do we have coming up on Cole TV this week? Cole TV is our YouTube channel. If you like us, if you like our goofy faces, well, why not see more of them? So go on over to our YouTube channel. It is in both of our bios. So we have a fantasy football podcast coming out this week. Hey, football just kicked off this week. Hambone, let me ask you, let me put you on the spot. Are you a football fan?
I don't watch the sports.
Okay. I was going to ask if you had a team. Home run, that's right. It's all good, though. He watches the most important sports of all, professional wrestling.
The king of sports.
Yep. Now, and last but certainly not least, we have a new episode of The Hunt coming out this week, where we will be going to the Geek Toy Hunt, and we pick up some really cool stuff, like Mr. Tommy Dreamer himself.
The innovator of violence.
That's right. And currently we have the All Out week. All of our vlogs from All Out are up on the YouTube channel, so make sure you go check them out.
Speaking of which, since we're talking about FanFest, we literally just came off on All Out FanFest. So, since we're talking FanFest, we just show the people what exactly we're talking about. So, if you could give me some control here, cue me up. There we go. Let's check out our AEW All Out FanFest vlog, which is available now over on Cole TV.
This is going to be a fun day. When I came to this last year, there's a lot of cool stuff. I think it can get any better. But here's the merch.
Here we go.
There you see her.
I love the layout of it was slightly different than last year, but it was more hands-on. They did a better job this year than last year, I think. And they're like free like meet and greets. It was awesome. Okay, hi, Tommy. And, this was pretty cool. Just hanging out. Here comes Roosh.
Roosh.
There you go.
Yes. Oh yeah, I gotta get that selfie.
Yes, brother.
Yeah, I fangirled out.
How cool was that? Speaking of cool, it was time to meet
Look at that. Absolute Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is cool as hell.
What an absolute delight it was to meet this
I talked to him
man.
for a couple minutes. I was just telling him like how much like I loved his work in NWA stuff, and he's actually like very reciprocal, very appreciative of it too. Good dude.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he was one of the free ones.
Fan of Ricky Starks ever since.
Yeah, I was surprised he was one of the like ones they were giving away.
World television champions, and I think that really springboarded him to.
Look at that giant security guard who we have seen on AEW before.
Security guard who could easily kick my ass or anybody's ass. But here we are doing the patented Ricky Starks pose. Just a super nice guy, super cool, really appreciative of his fans. He was actually asking me about some music we heard in the background. I wasn't quite sure, and I told him it wasn't as good as his music. And then, look what happens. How awesome.
Yeah, this was cool. Literally, like, as we're talking, his music hit on, like, over the speaker. Thought that was pretty cool. Sharp-dressed man, too, by the way. Look at them loafers, man.
Oh, yeah.
How does he rank on the drip scale there?
Heck yeah, that was. And hey, check it out. Looks like we got Sirius XM's busted open in the house. Looks we got Miss Gabby over here. The producer Paul is around here. And the man himself,
this was cool.
Mr. Dave LaGreca.
Like, right when we said LaGreca shit, Dave LaGreca was just waving us to come on over. I was like, yes. Now, I gotta admit, like, I fanboyed out here, and I completely forgot, like, I was filming. This was, like, the only time where I messed up, like, on filming. Plus, too, I didn't want to shove a camera in his face, you know. He was nice enough to kind of have us come over.
Look how beautiful my feet are.
Yeah, look at me rocking those Jordans. I'm just saying. I think the Wrestletok Drip God would approve.
So much better. So I just fanboyed out and I think I got some of that on film. I don't know, but I'm gonna leave it regardless. But yeah, look at it. I love it.
That's cool. And he just signed 8x10. Just gave it to us.
How much did I pay for this? Absolutely daily.
All we did was say LaGreca shit.
Give him the respect.
So yeah, it was awesome. And up next, it was time for us to join the Dark Order. This was so cool, especially for Mr. B-Roy.
Yeah, this was pretty cool too because it was all of them. It wasn't just like Uno or Great or
awesome for him to be
10 or anything. I mean, it was literally all that's left that's here now.
John Silver and of course 10. Super awesome, super nice guys too, super chill. Just as imagine.
And Uno guessed my last name because I was telling him about our podcast. He's like, is your last name Cole? I was like, yeah, is your last name Uno? And he's like, Uno? He's like, how'd you fucking know?
Our dog Reggie
cool guy,
really
cool guy.
His favorite wrestler, because every time we say when Reggie's hungry,
I've seen Evil Uno with his mask off.
That's his nickname.
Really? I bet he's a beautiful man. I just have a feeling.
And
that's an interesting story if you want to talk about it after.
How about that?
Sure.
But the Dark Order was amazing. Love
this is cool. What happens next?
Michigan got to
after we met him.
And what happened next was interesting. So he has a man come up to us, and this was actually John Silver's father. So we got
that was John Silver's dad. Literally came up to us. He's like, "I'm John Silver's dad." I was like, "Okay, can I get a picture with you?"
Open live as they'd be doing.
And the funny thing is, when we were going to All Out, we ran into him, John Silver's girlfriend, and his mom, and talked to them for a minute.
And like we were walking by the line, and I was like, "Hey, everybody, it's John Silver's dad."
Yeah. But it was cool. They also had some panels there and stuff too. But I'm dying to know. I got to hear this Evil Uno story, my friend.
So, I am a huge Brody Lee fan. You know, I'm in Central New York. You know, Brody. You know, Rochester is only an hour from me. There you go. So he used to wrestle before he went to WWE. He wrestled for an indie company here called 2CW all the time. I've met him a million times. I've seen him wrestle a million times before he went off to WWE, you know. So he passes away, you know, and being the huge fan of his that I was, I have a Brody Lee memorial tattoo. So I've been able to show every member of the Dark Order this tattoo, right? So last year, a couple years ago, 2CW went out of business. Last year, they came back and they did a reunion show. And during the reunion show, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson were wrestling a match. And at the end of the match, the ending of the match was the lights went out. And when they came back up, Brody Lee Jr. was in the ring. And he kicked the opponent in the balls and they hit their finisher. That was the end of the match, right? So earlier, before the event had started, they did a meet and greet with everybody who was there. And I went and I met Uno and Grayson, and I showed them, you know, the Brody tattoo, and they were like, "Oh, that's awesome. Can I take a picture of it?" "Yeah, sure, whatever." So after their match, I actually had an interview set up with Warhorse. So where the event was, there was two levels. Up top was where the ring was and the show was, and down at the bottom, that's where the meet and greet was, and then off in the back was the locker room. So I go downstairs to go and find Warhorse, and I see the locker room, and Stu Grayson is outside of the locker room. And he calls me over, and he's like, "Hey, come here. And he brings me into the locker room because he wants me to show Brody Lee Jr. my tattoo, right? So I go into the locker room, and Evil Uno is in there, and he does not have his mask on. And he does not seem happy about the fact that Stu Grayson just brought a fan back there when he is clearly in the rest of his Evil Uno stuff, but does not have his mask on. So it was just funny. It was felt a little tension. I showed Brody Lee Jr. real quick, and I was like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here because I don't feel like I belong back here right now. Even though I was asked to come back.
What did Brody Jr. say?
Oh, he loved it. So it's funny because just a couple weeks beforehand was AEW in Rochester, and they did a meet and greet beforehand, and the meet and greet for them was all the Dark Order. And Brody Lee Jr. was there, and I told him about the tattoo because I hadn't gotten it yet. So when I went up to him, he remembered me, and I said, "Do you remember I told you I was getting a tattoo of your dad?" And he said, "Yeah," and I was able to show him. I've been able to show Manda Huber, too, Brody Lee's wife, so
that's awesome.
Every single member of the Dark Order has seen it. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. I have kind of a Brody story. I did a TikTok on it once, but I kind of want to just touch base because it's just freaking crazy that this happened to me. Like, so not even knowing, like, you know, anything would happen, of course, but my wife and I were on vacation in Florida, back in let's see, October of what was that, 2020. And I was like, you know what? Like, we're coming back through Jacksonville. I'm like, I'm gonna hit up the AEW. I'm gonna check out a Dynamite. Just so happened to be, it was the night where it was Brody against Cody in the dog collar match. So I was fortunate enough to say I got to see his last match. But this is where the story is really crazy. I'm going to take you back to many, many, many years ago. I actually was at the SmackDown that was Eddie Guerrero's last match. That was in Indianapolis, where it was Eddie against Mr. Kennedy. So, yeah, it's just crazy. I never, that's not obviously something I really want to brag about because God missed both those guys. Such great, amazing wrestlers.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad I got to at least say I got to see them once in my life, though. But still,
right.
It's just really bizarre that I can say, like, oh, yeah, I saw this guy's last match and this guy's last match.
So are you saying we can blame the media scrum on you?
You know what's, well, it's not funny, but like our friend Michigan kept on saying, like, okay, this is your fucking fault, you asshole. Like, you've done it again. It's like, I can't help it. Hey, I was at All Out last year when Brian showed up and stuff. So come on now, give me some credit. I've been there for some good stuff too. So, and yes, I also did get to witness the first Punjabi prison match in Indianapolis as well. And that was lovely. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Good God. What an awful match.
Well, it's funny because going into it, my friend and I, we were talking like, how much you want to bet that fucking cage is like made to look like bamboo or something? It's like, lo and behold.
Have you seen that shit, B-roll?
No.
Oh, God.
Yeah, trying to show them the good stuff before we get into the shitty stuff. That was scare them away completely. Well, that match was so fucking terrible, and it just shows you the caliber of a competitor the Great Khali was. Like, he couldn't even be in his own first gimmick match. He sucks so bad. So it's like, okay, we're gonna put the Big Show and the Undertaker in there. God love them, they tried, but ugh. What a clusterfuck.
And then they were like, yeah, no, let's bring it back for Randy and Jinder too.
Yeah, because why not? Why not? Yeah. I think there's been a total of 3 Punjabi prisons. Yep. And I can say I got to see one of them. But anyways, it's kind of like, so we're talking Fan Fest here and stuff. And now it's more common, like you're seeing them more and more where they're popping up, and there is it's not like it was years ago. Like some of them I'll mention. I know there's the Fan Slam Fest in Jersey, KS WrestleCon in Philly. You were just talking about one before we were come on the air, right? Hambone, what was the name of that one?
Yeah, so if you've watched my videos, I go to a ton of meet and greets, and I have a million autographs, and the place that I get most of them from, I would say probably 95% of my meet and greets and autographs have come from this place. There's a nerd store, basically. They sell like Funkos and action figures and things like that. There's a couple different locations. It's called Heroes Hideout, and they started doing their own wrestling convention a couple years ago. I think October 22nd, I got one coming up. I think it's number 9. It's called Showcase of Legends. It was called WrestleFest before that, but I think they had to change the name for legal reasons with something. They changed it to Showcase of Legends. So that one's coming up. It's in Albany. If anybody watching this is in the Albany area, or I know that Shelby from that wrestling couple, I know that they say that they travel for some of these. So I did tell them about it, but yeah, they do 2 a year. They do one in the spring and they do one in the fall.
Do you know who all they've got there that's going to be there?
Yeah, so this year the headliners are Dustin Rhodes. The entire House of Black is going to be there. Paige, Booker T is going to be there. RVD, Flip Gordon, Shaw Guerrero randomly is going to be there.
Okay.
For some reason.
Is Aiden going to be there too?
Who?
Her husband, Aiden. Well, what's his real name? I forget. Matt.
Matthew Raywalt. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I haven't seen him, but he has been at them before. So so they've got some big names. They'll definitely have more. They usually have 30, 40 people at this point. It's gotten really big. I think I started going to them like at the third one is when I started going, and it's grown a lot. I mean, they used to do it. This Heroes Hideout, they're in malls, and they used to do it in the mall because they could do it, but now they've expanded so much that they actually have to rent out an armory in Albany to be able to bring all these people in. So it's getting bigger every year, and they're getting bigger names every year. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and apologize. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my dog is like trying desperately to get in my door.
I knew.
You knew what it was. I saw it looking at you. I was like, "Shit, he can hear it." Okay.
I heard it, but I didn't know what it was. But I figured out, fuck it, I'll ignore it. I'll act like it's not there.
Yeah, it's Reggie trying to get in. So yeah, it's like
I wanted to like break out into like a little bit of the theme, like "Let me in."
Yeah, a little shit. He'll probably figure a way in here somehow. He's trying like hell. I don't know. But anyways, those
this place is it's been awesome for me. Today I went out there to the Rochester location. They have Rochester, they have Albany, and then they have another one in like Massachusetts, I think.
Okay.
So I went out to Rochester today. I met the Godfather. I went out to Rochester yesterday. I met Kurt Angle. Tuesday I'm going out to the Albany location and meeting Wardlow and Arn and Brock Anderson.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're bringing people in all the time.
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
Cannot beat that for sure. I tell you
what, we just saw Wardlow.
I'm checking those places out.
Hell yeah, dude. We just saw Wardlow at the Fan Fest as well as All Out, and I feel very comfortable in saying that is a beautiful looking man. Very beautiful looking man. Like, and the swag too, like when he's outside of, like you're talking about your show, man. Dude, when he's like outside promoting and stuff, Wardlow is a sharp dressed man.
Oh, I can imagine. My wife saw him on TV and she was like, "Oh, he's a very pretty man." I'm like, "Yep, I'm not gonna disagree with you."
And you're stuck with me.
Yep.
Not a bad trade off though to be with the Wrestletok Drip God. I'm just saying.
There you go.
So one of the more newer fan fests, and we can relate to this because it's in our neck of the woods, Squared Circle Expo, and they are getting ready to March, right, Brent? It's going to be the third one. April. I don't know why I keep fucking that up. Like I know it's in that somewhere.
I think
it
was March last year, so.
Oh, that's why. Thank you. There you go. I know it's around Mania time, pretty much, or like right after Mania usually. But I forget the name of the people who put that together, but they're super awesome, super nice people. And like this past year, they killed it. I mean, the first year they did it wasn't bad, but this year was freaking nuts. I mean, they had everybody from Danhausen to Hangman Page, Ethan Page, Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Jungle Boy, Farouk, Bradshaw, Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg, Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers. Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, Ricky Steamboat.
All over the place. Like it was just, I mean, it was.
Sammy Guevara, your boy, or used to be your boy, and Ty.
That was right before his. That was right before his heel turn.
You know what? I'll say this. I have met both Sammy and Ty. Sammy is nice as fuck in real life. He really is. He is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, we walked by him and kind of like he was wearing like a fur coat or something. We made a comment on it. He was very he was very appreciative.
What was so crazy about that one? It was just like we were walking around just getting the lay of the land, right? It's kind of seeing where everything is. And then we're like, holy crap, it's time to do some cowboy stuff because there's your freaking AEW World Champion right there.
So and Mr. B-Roll gives me shit about this still to this day. So I will admit I did kind of have like a mark out moment because it was just so unexpected. So we're waiting in line to see Hangman Page, and I'm talking to him. I literally look over my shoulder, and walking literally brushed right past me is Mickie James. I'm like, oh, Mickie James. And she's just like, hi. But I just the way I
pitched of a voice too.
Yeah.
Ah, it's Mickey James.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? She probably appreciated it. Nick Aldis was there too as well.
Talk about a sharp dressed man.
No kidding, right? That's another one who would be on the Drip Gods list. I would think would be Nick Aldis. So.
Absolutely. Nick Aldis should be in WWE or AEW. He's wasting away in NWA.
I would love to see him in WWE. I think he would, like, especially with the new regime with Triple H. Like, he just strikes me as like he would be picture perfect Triple H guy.
The dude literally has everything that you should have to be a pro wrestler. He looks great. He's in great shape. He dresses like a champion.
Promos are awesome.
Promo. He's great in ring. I mean, there's no reason that he's hooking his ship to NWA. NWA was great before COVID. COVID ruined them. Now they are really difficult to watch. They're pretty cringy. But yeah, I think it's time for Nick Aldis to move on and cut ties there.
I still watch it, but you're right, and
I do too. But it's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, they have a handful of people, but God, the more I could really use a lot less of the ill-begotten.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? What does that group even mean? Jesus Christ. The best part about NWA is Gags the Gimp.
I feel like, too, the presentation of it has changed, too. And I think for me, that's what got me hooked, was the original presentation of it.
So I'm kind of the other way. You know, I look at it and I go, man, why does Billy Corgan think that this look is going to get anywhere in 2022? I get what he's going for. You know, he wants to, have that 80s feel and all that, but it's not the 80s. And if you want to grow the product, why do you think that you're just going to have that old ass look? I mean, it just really looks like a well-produced indie show. It doesn't look like a big-time show.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I can totally, I get that. I think what it is he's kind of like, I'm just going to focus on this niche. I'm going to focus on the nostalgia, the days of old. And that's just what we're going to roll with, and we're not going to change anything, which I like. But that's another aspect of it, too. Like, you like it, but it's only going to last you for so long.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's like everybody always talks about, like, we go back and talk about ECW, for example. Like, oh, man, if they had the money and stuff, or if they got on a network, ECW would still be around. But would they, though? Like, I mean, I feel like they would have had to change their products somewhat from being, like, ultra-violent stuff.
I think they would still be around because I think, yes, you're right, they would have had to change, but I think, Paul Heyman, I think Paul Heyman was smart enough that he would have known, like, all right, the times are changing, I have to change with them. I think that he's done that his entire career, so I don't see why he wouldn't have. I feel like he probably would have gone the way of ECW, kind of would have turned into Ring of Honor.
Agree. I feel like it would have been more reality, more like MMA style based, because if you look at that time frame, that's when UFC really took off, was in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think they would have played off of that.
And that's what I think Ring of Honor did. Ring of Honor was all about, like, hard-hitting, in-ring, technical action. Like, that's what it was. I think that's what ECW would have become.
Yeah, I totally agree, my friend. So the next thing I want to talk about, and we see it right behind you, your incredible and amazing selection of autographs. And I love, you did like a TikTok a couple weeks ago or something, or a month ago or whatever it was, talking about like kind of the criteria and what you look for in an autograph. If you could just indulge us, good sir, and kind of explain like what you're looking at in autographs.
Sure. So I think, because I definitely have some autographs that like I'm disappointed that I paid for. And the more that I get, and I've got a lot, I feel like there is certain things that, you're looking for in an autograph if you pay for it. A lot of people, they just do like initials, and that's bullshit. Like my least favorite one that I have is Darby Allin. It's just a D and an A, and I paid for that. Like, I could have done that, so I really feel like you need to write most of your name. I think, you have to take size into account, as we all do. But I think it should be big. I think you need to, really think about color when you do it. A lot of people a lot of 8x10s, they tend to have a lot of black on them, and then people go and choose a black marker to write on. And it's like, why are you, like, I can't even see it, So you got to pick a good color to pop off.
So when you go to these, do you take your own marker, or it's just whatever the hell they have?
They always have some, but they never have just one. I mean, they've always got an array of colors for people to choose from. So, the only ones that I have that, I brought my own markers to were ones that they were meet and greets, but they weren't autograph signings. You could go and meet them, but they didn't have 8x10s for you. And just being the person that I am, I had the foresight to, I better bring some paper and markers just in case they're not doing that. I'll be prepared. But other than that, yeah, they always have markers there, and there's always a bunch of different colors. So I think you got to think of what's going to pop off of the 8x10. I think you always have to ask fans if they want it personalized. For me, I always want my name on it. I want it written on there. I'm not here to sell them on eBay or anything like that. So I know a lot of people do that. They pay for them and then just sell it. So a lot of guys don't even do that. They won't even ask, hey, do you want it personalized? Some do, a lot of them don't. So I think that's one of the things that you definitely have to do. I find that a lot of the old school guys, they have much better autographs than the current guys. And I find that women have much cooler autographs than the men. But I find that women have better handwriting in real life, period, than men. So that's probably part of it as well.
And always with the hearts, right?
Always hearts. Hearts everywhere. Jesus, every one of them has a heart.
Nice. So next, we always like to do, since we're learning the ropes here, Mr. B-Roll, you're learning the ropes, is that time where we come with the pop quiz. And this is going to be a great pop quiz because I'm going to ask you if Mr. Hambone has an autograph from this wrestler. So I've got a list here of wrestlers I'm going to tell you. And it's going to be yay or nay. So
and now I'm going to know whether you watch these goddamn videos or just hit the heart and kept scrolling.
That's right. We're putting you on the spot, brother. So, Mr. B-Roll, are you ready?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like I'm going to go when in doubt, say yes on this because he has a ton of autographs. So, here we go.
I feel like this first one is kind of a layup. Okay? So, I'm going to take her. All right. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, I do. Because you got an amazing story about Jake, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute.
I do. Yeah.
How about Owen Hart? The King of Hearts. Owen Hart.
No.
Correct.
I was going to say, I believe that one is correct. Yes. All right, Mr. B-Roll. I don't even know if you even know who the hell this wrestler is, but I'm going to throw it out there. Taka Michinoku.
Yes, because that sounds like somebody Hambone would be into.
I do not have Taka Michinoku.
I was going to say, I don't think he has Taka Michinoku, but how great would that have been?
I would definitely get Kaientai. Indeed.
Indeed.
Oh, you got to show him that. You got to show him that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Racism.
That's some good shit, pal. Oh, God. Kaientai. Dream matchup, Kaientai against the Mexicools. There you go.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Yes.
Correct.
There you go.
I do.
How about the sensational Sherry Martel?
Yes.
Nope.
I do.
That would have been cool, though.
That would have been.
I always loved the hell out of Sherry. Man, such a tough lady too.
Such a big part of Shawn Michaels' career too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Singing the song, showing her ass at Wembley Stadium for everybody to see. All right. Mr. B-Roll, your favorite tag team, the Briscoe Brothers.
Let me think here. I'm going to say no.
Correct.
I was going to say.
I'd like to, though. I do love the Briscoes.
Oh, yeah, them boys. That would be an awesome one to meet. I'd like just to talk to those guys, just to shoot the shit with them for like a couple of minutes. Hell yeah.
Drink a beer if you know.
Oh, yeah. How about the Lucha Libre legend, the chairman of WCW, La Parka? And I know you don't know who that is either. You say yes. No. That'd be another great one to have, though.
It's not watching these fucking videos, that's clear.
My memory's not that good, okay?
Yeah, shit. How about Scott Hall?
Yes.
I do have Scott Hall.
Gotta have the bad guy.
Good, quick little story about Scott Hall. Scott Hall is one of my all-time favorites, and I missed meeting him probably 3-4 times. Kept getting canceled, kept getting moved, whatever. I finally got to meet him 2 months before he died.
Wow, that's awesome that you got to meet him.
Yep.
Was he with Nash and Waltman, or is it just Scott himself?
Kevin Nash was there, and I have a great story about Kevin Nash, too. We'll talk about that after, though, once we get past this segment.
Okay.
But yeah, he was there.
All right, I got 2 more for you, Mr. B-Roll. What about the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man?
Yes. I do. Also, I have a funny story about Honky Tonk Man.
Great. We got it. We got to hear that.
We can just do story time with Hambone.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're guessing wrong all the time? Is that why you just want to move on to another segment?
Hey, I've only missed 3 on my calculations. That's not bad.
You're looking at a C.
Worse.
But you've got one more. You've got one more. And this last one's appropriate. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
He should have it, so yes.
I do not.
When you were going through all those, that was the one that surprised me the most. I was like, wow. So you just never really had an opportunity to meet Shawn, or?
I had an opportunity probably 2 years ago, and it was a 4-hour drive away from me. And I considered it. I was trying to get a couple other people to go with me because that's just a lot of driving. And I didn't do it. And now I really regret doing it, especially with what's going on with WWE autographs, how they're set up right now with Fitterman Sports and how much they suck. I really wish I had done it, but three people I really want. Shawn, CM Punk, Undertaker. That's my holy trinity of autographs.
Ooh, boy, you get the Undertaker, you're going to be paying out the ass on that.
I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah, it's the Undertaker. It's the Undertaker. Blew my mind, like what his rookie card, they were charging $500 just for him to sign, I think. Or
probably
something at some of these.
Yeah, I think one of the autograph sessions that he did, I read it was like $700 for a meet and greet.
A lot for the dead man. But if anybody could ask for it, it's him.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so I think we need some story time with Mr. Hambone here. I got to hear the Kevin Nash story, I think, first.
All right. So what I usually like to do with meet and greets is when I meet somebody, you know, I try to meet them twice. I meet them the first time, and I get a combo, which is a photo with them and then a signed 8x10, in case I never meet them again. If they come around a second time, I like to take the picture of me with them and have them autograph it. And then I'm usually done after 2. I'm not going to meet you again after that. So I met Kevin Nash a couple years ago for the first time at a Comic-Con that was here in my city. And then last year at this convention that I go to in Albany, he's there again. So I go to meet him again. I have the, picture of us together, and I go up to him and I put it down in front of him, and he goes, oh, he's like, he's got like his manager or handler or whatever right there with him. He's like, man, those are two good looking guys right there. It's like, those are a couple of ass masters right there. Right. And I'm like, all right, that's funny. So he's signing it, Kevin Nash, and he goes, I really want to sign this ass masters. And I was like, go for it, brother. That's
Please
hilarious to me. So he signs the ass masters, Kevin Nash, and then he turns to his manager and he just starts telling him this bullshit story about him and I used to be a tag team in Memphis called the Ass Masters. And he's just making up this whole thing about us being a tag team called the Ass Masters.
Oh my God. That's fucking incredible. I don't know if it gets any better than that. The Ass Masters in Memphis.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Anytime people come over for the first time and they're looking at that when they go, does that say Ass Masters on it? I'm like, yes, it does. It does.
Oh my God. That is incredible. So what about your Honky Tonk Man story?
Oh boy. So Honky Tonk, him and Greg the Hammer Valentine were doing a 2-man show basically at an abandoned mall where I live.
Okay.
So I go to it, and they're doing a meet and greet beforehand. So usually with meet and greets, I try to get there like hour early, because most of the time I just want to get my shit and get out. I'm not, when it comes to meet and greets, we all want to have like an experience and a conversation with them, and I want to do that. But for me, like, I understand that there are other people here and we're on their time and all that. So I try to get it done and get out. So I show up early, and again, it's basically an abandoned mall. There's like 2 or 3 things open in this mall. And in the middle of the mall, there's like this big seating area with all of these couches and chairs and stuff. And there's Honky Tonk Man just sitting there alone, right? So I go over and I sit with him with a couple other fans, and we're just kind of talking about him with him. And then the more people, and again, this is the funny part, the 2-man show, there were probably like 11 people there. It was like 11 people, and then Greg the Hammer Valentine and Honky Tonk Man, just for 2 hours, just shitting on everybody in the wrestling industry. That's all it was them talking shit about everybody. But so I'm sitting there talking with them, and all of these 11 fans happen to show up early. So all these chairs are just full of fans who are here. And the Honky Tonk Man just goes on probably an hour rant about politics and Trump being the best president of all time. And it was just a very surreal experience where I wasn't even, I'm not a conservative. So I'm just sitting there listening to this. And it was just a very surreal moment where I'm like, I am sitting in an abandoned mall right now with the Honky Tonk Man while he lectures a handful of fans on politics. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here right now? Like, that's the weirdest thing.
Oh my goodness.
Cousin Honky.
Yeah,
hey,
so it was interesting.
That reminds me.
And make sure you're awake.
Yeah. It's like, am I having a fever dream right now, or am I actually here?
Like, what the fuck is this? It kind of reminds me. We had a similar experience, only it wasn't with the wrestler. So we were at one of our Indiana Comic Con here, and we went into a panel, and it was literally about 20 people in there, and it was Sam Jones, from Flash Gordon. And he was just going on telling this story. At first, it was very entertaining. He was telling a story about how he always people would get him confused with Dolph Lundgren, and like he would just pretend he was Dolph Lundgren and would sign autographs. And he told Dolph Lundgren this story one day, and then like Dolph Lundgren's just kind of like, all right, whatever, fuck you. And then he went on this like rant about like the military and stuff like that for like the past like 10 minutes. It's like, how the fuck do we go from talking about Dolph Lundgren to like the military? Other than the only thing I could connect with is Universal Soldier or something, but whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking
and
about
then
that
I
as
said,
well when
like
he was going into that.
The 2-man show afterwards, it's like 11 people there, and it's literally like Greg the Hammer Valentine barely spoke, and it's just Honky just for like 2 hours, just talking shit about every single person in the wrestling industry. He made a very unfunny joke about JR having Bell's palsy, and it was like, oh, this is why nobody comes to meet you, because you're all the stories are true. You're a fucking asshole. So.
I can't say I've ever heard like a really good story about Honky Tonk. It's always been like, yeah, he's just a dick.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I'm curious, what would you say your worst experience has been, like meeting someone, or maybe it is the Honky Tonk Man. I don't know.
So that one's kind of hard to answer, because really, in the grand scheme of things, I've never had like a terrible one. Like, I've never had anybody be like rude or just be an asshole to me. But they're, again, like I said, I think when it comes to meet and greets and when it comes to fan fests, especially when we're paying money, what we want is we want to be able to not only meet our heroes, but have some kind of connection with them. That not necessarily mean that, we're going to go up to them and they're going to give us their phone numbers and we're going to be friends or anything, but
slide into their DMs.
Yeah. But the best ones are when they take the time to, not just sign your autograph and get out of here, but, maybe have a small conversation with you, or, give you a moment. Like
talk
Kevin
about
Nash
when you were a
did for me.
tag team in Memphis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can't really say that, I've had any ones that were terrible. Just, certain ones were letdowns for me. I paid a lot of money to meet Ric Flair, and it was just one of those things where there were so many people that they were just moving people along. Get your picture, get your autograph, get out of here. We got more people. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were a letdown. They just really did not seem like they wanted to be there at all. They weren't engaging at all. There was a house show that was a couple hours away afterwards. I asked them if they were there, and they were like, no, we're not going to be there. And that was it. Like, they just had no interest in talking to people. So, I mean, that would be most of it. My first ever meet and greet that I did, I was 14 years old, and I met Lita and the APA. They were, back in the day, they used to do, for opening days for tickets for house shows, and they would do a meet and greet to make people come out and buy tickets, So it was at one of them. Lita is my all-time favorite wrestler, and I was 14, and I had a huge crush on her. And I didn't know what to do because I had never been at a meet and greet, and she was extremely sweet and nice to me. And then I went over to the APA, and they weren't jerks to me, but they just signed my stuff. They were having a conversation with each other, didn't look up at me, didn't say hi, nothing. 14-year-old me was crushed that, a couple of my heroes couldn't even look up and say hi to me, So just things like that. Nothing, crazy, nothing where people have been rude or mean or anything like that. Just certain ones are letdowns.
Yeah, I think I can speak for Mr. B-Roll here too, because I pretty much have been with you on every thing where we've done stuff like this.
Take my story, you freaking Mark.
I'm not. You're talking about the good. We're talking about the bad. Like you say, I haven't really ever had a bad experience meeting a wrestler before. Like, everybody's always been cool. But that kind of segues into like your favorite meet or your favorite moment. And I'll let Mr. B-Roll have the floor here because he's got an awesome story to tell.
Yeah, because the few I've had haven't really had a bad experience. But I will say this. So the Squared Circle Expo that we kind of talked about earlier, I mean, that was really definitely for me, and I don't know about you, but that was surreal, and just the opportunity to see and have the meet and greets with so many.
It's very personable.
Yeah, Like, shoot, in like one freaking day, we met Hangman Adam Page, we met the Good Brothers, and we met Adam Cole, and, Dan Housing. Am I missing anybody?
Good. Did you say Good Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and there was so much more, and you know, if money, you know, like money. But the one that stuck out to me the most was Adam Cole, actually.
He's one of mine as well. So.
And I almost didn't. We thought about like maybe not doing it. His line was pretty long, obviously, but man, I'm glad we did. Because we had done like the photo together, and we like split the photo and everything, and like I was trying to like keep the line moving and everything, and I had kind of like started to walk away. Well, he had shook his hand, and then he came around from behind the table and like tapped me on the shoulder and shook my hand. He was like, "Hey, thank you for coming out. Thank you." And that just the fact that he like made the effort to come out just stuck out to me, and it was cool.
Yeah, he went above and beyond.
I've got a Adam Cole story too. So Adam Cole is also one of my favorite meet and greets. He is the first ever one that I found at Heroes Hideout. Actually, I don't even know how it happened. I just happened to be scrolling Facebook and it was there. And this is at the time he was the NXT champion. So I bought tickets. I go out there. There are a lot of people there for him. I mean, we're in a mall and there's probably 300 people waiting for him. And I'm like around 150. We all had numbers, So, I'm watching every single person go up to him, and every single person he's talking to, he's not just, writing his name. He's trying to give everybody an experience. Every kid that's there, he's getting down, talking to every kid. He's making time to, go out of his way to talk to, people with special needs who are in like wheelchairs, things like that. So when I got up to him, he said, "Hi, what's your name?" It was like November, so he was asking me if I had like any plans for the holiday and all this. And, we're just talking, and I go, I just want to let you know that, I've watched you talk to every single person before me, and I appreciate the fact that you are taking the time to talk to every single person who's here. Because I've gone to a lot of meet and greets that, were letdowns, people who don't even want to say hi to you or anything like that. And, he said to me, he was like, "Well, I appreciate that you said that. And honestly, I think that it's cool that people want to meet me. And when the day comes that I don't think that's cool anymore, I think that's the day that I'll get out of wrestling." And I just thought that was very cool of him. He was just the nicest guy in the world, which is always funny to me that Adam Cole has always been a heel. Because nobody has a bad story about Adam Cole. He's one of the nicest guys outside of wrestling.
The sweetheart.
And I don't know why he's never been a face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's over like a face, but he's always presented as the heel. But yeah, he was great.
Let me ask you this, since you've met him in person as well. The thing on him is always that he's small, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like he was that small, though. Like, he was almost as tall as me.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, I'm 6 foot. He was an inch, 2, maybe shorter than I am, But I mean, personally, I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
I think it's a silly argument, really. Up close, he's another one. He's a beautiful man. He's got beautiful blue eyes. He's a good-looking guy. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And you just fall in love with those blue, beautiful eyes.
The cool part was they had Britt right next to him as well. So like you got to kind of like see like some of their interactions as well. Like a fan had given him a gift, and he was like, Britt, like showing her like all excited.
Yeah.
And we actually even saw them putting the luggage in their trunk.
Yeah, when they were leaving, we got to see him. It was funny too because he was like, Britt, I think, was putting something up, and he's like, "No, babe, you got to put it up this way." It's like they were playing Tetris or something, putting it in their SUV. It was awesome. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Let me ask you this, Hambone. What has been like the fun? Well, you probably kind of already answered this, I would say, with Nash, but you may have something funnier than that. What would you say is like the funniest meeting you've had with a wrestler? Kind of like the most, just like maybe not memorable, but just like unique, just like hilarious. You look back and you laugh your ass off.
So Nash is a good one. MJF is also a good one because he is MJF. He is MJF at meet and greets. So, I go up to him and I say, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." And he just, puts his name. He's being a heel, so he doesn't ask you if you want it personalized or any of that. It's just MJF. And as I go to grab it, he throws it on the floor. I've got my buddy. My buddy was with me. He was getting a meet and greet too, and he picked an 8x10 that had MJF and CM Punk face to face. And he showed me afterwards. He writes his name, and then over CM Punk's face, he had written "meth head" or something like that. It was like, that's funny.
Oh my god!
Jake the Snake is a great one too.
I love that story you have.
Yeah. So I've met Jake a couple times. Jake is one of my all-time favorite '80s wrestlers. And the first time I met him, it was at one of his one-man stand-up shows. He got into doing comedy a little bit and telling road stories. There's a meet and greet beforehand, so I go up to him. I've got a Jake the Snake shirt, and by the end of the meet and greet, he had called me fat, told me I wasn't a man, and accused me of grabbing his ass. And it was just amazing. One of those experiences, again, where it's surreal, and you're like, meeting your heroes can be weird sometimes. Obviously it was all in jest, but it's a great story to tell. I also like to tell the story about Cody. I met Cody Rhodes, just a little bit after he had left WWE. He was doing a local indie, and this isn't, I met him. He was great. He was great to me. He was great to every single person who came up to him. He was dressed to the nines. He talked to every single person. But the story that I like to tell people is what I found out afterwards. At this, he's in the main event, obviously. And about 2 matches into this indie show, the ring completely breaks. Completely breaks. One of the wrestlers, they hit the turnbuckle, the whole fucking ring just collapses, right? So they spend about hour and a half or so trying to put the ring together, because everybody's there and they've paid to see Cody. So they decide, we can't really get the ring together safely to do a whole show. We're going to get it together so Cody can have his match. Everybody can see what they came for and go home happy, right? So they get it together. Cody has his match. That's the end of the show. I find out later from the promoter that the promoter went up to Cody and went to pay him, and Cody said, "Keep your money, get your ring fixed." And that made me a Cody fan for life, because he didn't have to do that. He was more concerned about this guy being able to get his ring fixed and continue to put on shows and, put money in his own pocket than take his payment. So I'll never have a bad thing to say about Cody Rhodes. He's a class act as far as I'm concerned.
Hell yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a funny one. It's not but this wasn't at necessarily at a actual meet and greet. It was at a wrestling show. So I go to this indie show here in Indianapolis, and it's kind of independent, but that's also bringing in a lot of past wrestlers and stuff. So the locker room scenario, I guess they don't have a bathroom in their locker room. So I go to take a piss. And next thing I know, I look over, and who's taking a piss right next to me? Bunkhouse Buck. I'm like, holy shit, Bunkhouse Buck. And I just go on to tell him, man, I loved your matches with Dustin Rhodes in the 94, and WCW in the 90s and stuff. And he's just like, oh, thank you, brother, while we're both taking a piss. And it's just there's a part of me that after it gets done, shaking off and stuff, I'm like, do I shake his hand? No, that would just be too fucking weird, But
I peed next to Eric Redbeard one time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. My buddy peed next to Caprice Coleman at a Ring of Honor show one time. Had a whole conversation with him.
See, that could be a whole podcast right there. Wrestlers you took a piss next to.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
That's a whole segment right there, brother.
There you go. And then, of course, the question would be how big's Batista's dick?
That's Melina.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I went there.
So you kind of alluded to this, but I'm going to go ahead and ask this question. So who is the one left, the dream one that you want to meet? Was it the 3 you talked about earlier with Taker and Sean?
Yeah,
And,
it's absolutely them. I've met, most of my all-time favorites I've met, especially current favorites like Orange Cassidy, Brody, Razor. I met Bray Wyatt recently. I've met AJ Styles. So I've met a lot of my all-time favorites, just not the main three. So yeah, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, and CM Punk. That's the holy trinity for me.
It's good for me personally. I have three as well, but the kind of different eras. Like first and foremost, you're a Shawn guy. I'm a Bret guy. So Bret Hart's number one for me.
He's gonna be at the next convention for me. I've already met him once, so I'm gonna have him sign the picture of us together. But yeah, he's gonna be at this one.
So please tell me, was it a decent meeting you had with Bret, or was it just kind of like
It was but it was mostly because it was one of those ones where he had kind of like a handler there, and his handler was just not letting anybody have any time with him. It was just like, all right, you got your picture and your thing, get moving. Somebody's got to go next. So, yeah.
Okay.
But if it makes you feel any better, my podcast partner for my podcast here, he is one of my best friends. He is a Bret Hart guy. He fucking freaked out meeting him. And then we met him at a hockey game. And we go up into the stands. My buddy, he's on a different side than I am. And he's just sitting there. Here comes Bret Hart. Sits right next to him. And he's just like, what am I supposed to say right now? Like this he literally looked at Bret almost like a father figure. So he was just like, yeah, I just sat there for like 2 hours and watched a, local hockey game with Bret Hart. And looked like an idiot because I didn't know what to say to my hero. So he had a good experience with him.
That is amazing. So for me, it'd be Bret Hart's number one by far. Also, I'm going to have on my list too, and it sounds like you got a good opportunity meeting him, is Dustin Rhodes. I'd love to meet Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin, I've already met Dustin once, so this will be my second time. I met him while he was Goldust in WWE just a couple years ago, and he was fucking awesome. I went up to him. Surprisingly, nobody was waiting there for him. So I just went right up to him, and we just started talking. This was when Cody was in Ring of Honor and New Japan, and he had just done like some match where he did like some crazy spot through a table. So we started talking about that, and then they had a pro photo op with him. So you went to like a different part to do this pro photo op with him. So we go over there, and I probably talked to him for 25 minutes, a half hour. At this point, there's a huge line waiting for him. Somebody had to come over to him and go, you got to stop talking to him because we got other people waiting for you. So he was great. He would have sat there and talked to me all night if he could have. So
that's freaking awesome. And that's exactly what I would imagine meeting him would be like. So
yeah. Yep.
Now, the third one for me is I'm kind of going to throw just a random out there, and of course there'd be a language barrier here, but I would love to meet Tetsuya Naito. Just to simply get
Naito's my guy too, bro. I love Naito.
Nice.
Yeah. He's my New Japan guy.
I would love to meet him.
That's why when I did StarCast, Hiromu was there, and I'm like, I got to take this opportunity because you just don't get the opportunity to meet the New Japan guys all the time. So
yeah.
But yeah, Naito's my guy too. I would love to meet him.
That would be amazing. What about you, Mr. B-Roll? Is there anybody, I know you're still early on, but I know you probably got a couple you'd love to meet.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. RVD, he's one of my faves. I would love to be able to meet him one of these days. I love tag team wrestling, and I almost pulled the trigger on FTR. At FanFest, thought about signing up for it. Briscoes, would love to meet them as well. Thunder Rosa, I'd throw that one out there as well.
Thunder Rosa would be cool.
Malachi Black.
I've met Thunder twice. She was cool. The first time she was really nice. She was with NWA, and I just had a feeling that she was gonna be a star. And I went up to her and we're talking and we go to take the picture and she's like, everybody's always doing the same shit in pictures. She was like, I want to do something else crazy. And she just like does this weird fucking pose. And she was really fun and funny.
That's awesome. That's what I would expect from her too, is just be a lot more personable.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So we kind of got to wrap this up here. Last thing I got, what would you say is your favorite fan fest you've been to, or just memory, or whatever it may be? It doesn't have to necessarily be meeting a wrestler, but just like an overall experience.
I mean, I would say now the AEW Fan Fest that we just went to was incredible, but Squared Circle Expo and like the interaction of Adam Cole that I was talking about, I mean that's probably my favorite.
How open that was too. I agree. Fan Fest with AEW, like and like I think I said this earlier, this year's Fan Fest was so much better than last year's Fan Fest that they did there. But I'm in agreement with you, Mr. B-Roll. Yeah, definitely that Squared Circle Expo we went to was probably my favorite Fan Fest or con we've been to.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's kind of a cheating answer, but I mean, StarCast was just such an experience for me working it. Not just meeting these guys, but being able to work with them, and especially getting to work with Johnny. I mean, Johnny Gargano was great. Yeah, I told him, after everybody was gone, that he is the exact experience that everybody wants to have at one of these meet and greets. He sat there, he talked to every single person. He made a connection with every single person. And he said the same thing. He was like, I remember what it's like being on the other side of that line. And he was like, that's why I act that way. That's my goal. So StarCast, obviously, that'd be the one that I would say, just because it was such a different experience working it. But when it comes to, just as a fan, I have so many cool experiences. The Kevin Nash thing was cool. I've met Mick Foley several times. The last time I met him, he gave me a hug. I can say that Mick Foley gave me a hug. I mean, that's cool. Bray Wyatt awesome. Bray Wyatt and I had a little moment real quick when, if we have time, I got another funny story.
I would love to hear it. Yeah.
So me and Bray Wyatt, and there's a huge line for him. I mean, huge. I was in line for him for probably 3 hours, right? So I get up there. There's one person in front of me. There's this woman. She goes up to him, and she is taking a whole lot of time. And she's got all these little gifts and trinkets that she's giving them, and she's telling them how much she loves them, how big of a fan. She's just going on and on and on to the point where they had to come take her and tell her to leave, right? So she goes, and I go up to him, and I go up to Bray, and I go, so I have a poem that I wrote for you. And he just starts dying and laughing because he knew I was just like fucking around, but it was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of experience. Well, I've had more good experiences than bad when it comes to meeting them. So I can't really pick one, but I've had a lot of really good experiences, a lot of good moments. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's the cool thing about all these fan fest and cons and just the interaction with the wrestlers. Because like you said earlier, it's like, they're these larger than life characters we see on television. And then when like you put it in a perspective where you actually get to meet them, and it's just like, they're just like you and me, They put their shoes on the same way. They, eat breakfast,
like when we're talking about like having bad experiences, me saying Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, I try to keep that in the back of my head too. There are just people like us. Some of them have bad days. Sometimes they're tired. It's going to happen. And, like I said, nobody's just been an outward asshole or rude or anything to me. So when it is something like that, hey, they had an off day. Maybe they weren't feeling it that day. They're people too, whatever. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely. And I would definitely say for all of us, the good has definitely outweighed the bad. And it's just, yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. I still get nervous no matter like how many. Do you still get nervous when you're like,
I really don't anymore. I did, like when I first started meeting people, but I've gotten into this groove where like I kind of understand like how to talk to them and how to not. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I've done so many of them now that like I know how to be able to relate to them as a fan. I know the kind of experience that they want to have with fans too. I think if it was, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, CM Punk, I'm probably going to shit my pants. Yes. But other than them three, I really don't get nervous anymore. It's always a fun experience. I always look forward to it. I always get excited for it, but I don't really get nervous any longer.
I do feel like at the rate you're going, at some point, it's going to come up where you're going to go meet somebody and they're going to be like, I saw your TikTok or something like, oh, the Wrestletok Drip God. Like, how crazy is that going to be? Oh, shit, has it already happened?
Not with a wrestler, but at StarCast, I got called out by somebody who was a vendor at StarCast because they had seen my TikTok. And they wanted me to work with them. There's a company called Wrestling Over Everything, and they had a booth there. And she was like, "I've seen you on TikTok. Come talk to me after. We'd like to work with you." And what they do is they're kind of like a company that just helps indie wrestlers. They help them get to shows. They just do a bunch of different things like to help indie wrestlers to continue to do their work. So it hasn't been a wrestler yet, but I have gotten recognized because of my TikTok, so
that's awesome.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, how could you not be? I mean, you're the Wrestletok Drip God. I mean, with that drip, it's unheard of. I pray there's gonna be a day where Seth sees your TikTok and just is like, okay, I gotta reach out to this dude or something.
Yeah,
like, this is incredible.
Weezy told me that's her goal. That's her goal right now, is to somehow get Seth Rollins to acknowledge me. So,
well, if anybody could do it, it would be Wheezy.
Yeah.
Wrestletalk is a powerful thing, so
for sure.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
All right, Mr. B-Roll, one last time. Can you take us home, my good sir, with a one last plug-a-palooza for the night?
Yes, most definitely. I sure can. And let me just say this as we're getting ready to wrap this up. Hambone, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure. You getting to make your Panda Wrestling Company debut. And, hey, this dude right here, he's got his own show coming up. So can't wait to check that out from
Friday nights, baby.
7 to 9. So this Friday will be the first episode. Remind me of the name of it.
It's going to be called Ego Drip, the wrestling podcast. And just to say it, I appreciate you guys having me on. I've had fun talking with you. So anytime, I'd happily join again.
Well, there we go. That's what we love to hear. Speaking of our Wrestletok Drip God, though, why not get you some drip, some Panda Wrestling Company drip, some Cold TV drip, all your favorite content creators. They're all over on Sweet Doll Face Creations. You never know. Hambone may get some drip. You never know.
I think we need some Hambone drip in our life.
If we for the podcast, if we do drip, I've already got the idea. It's
there you go.
It's gonna be fun.
There you go. Stay tuned for that, folks. Obviously, if you're watching us here, you've found us over on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch channel. Make sure to follow, subscribe. If you have Prime, Amazon Prime, it is free. So there you go. Once again, we got to thank our sponsor, Rootless Coffee, because it is a
damn
fine cup of coffee. It's good. The stuff smells amazing, and it is guaranteed to put the mo back in your dough and to put the ham back into your bone. So there you go.
Some good
I've been
stuff.
sitting on that one like all day. Like I was like, oh, I got this one. I probably used it too much. It's probably lost its luster now. But
I like it.
Yeah, thank you. Last but
it's
not
pretty nice.
least, coming up on our Cold TV, we have our fantasy football podcast that will come out on Tuesday. Then we have an episode of The Hunt coming on where we're at Geek Toy Hunt. Basically, it's just us on the hunt for buying toys. You know,
it's an awesome episode because we come across some oddball, random, very unique items. I myself bought a custom figure, unlike any other that you've probably ever seen. You're going to have to check it out. It's pretty awesome. And of course, we've talked about it all night. We've got to mention it again. We have a series of incredible vlogs over on Cole TV right now of our All Out trip. We've got a vlog from Rampage, from the AEW All Out Fan Fest, from GCW's Art of War Games too. God, what a show that was. The tailgate party at All Out, and of course, All Out itself. All those are over on our YouTube channel. And as Mr. B-Roll says, the links for those is in our bios. And speaking of bio, I'm just going to plug it one more time because it saved my ass this week. Don't forget, when you get past 35, bio freeze will save your ass. Just saying. Just saying. I'm going to get some money from them, man.
I was going to say,
Drew Brees can get
them. You got to DM them or something, bro.
I should. If Drew Brees can make money off of it, why the hell can't my old ass make money off of it? So just saying.
There you go. Hambone, do you have any podcast episodes or anything coming up that you want to promote, push, or?
Well, I mean, it's just like you said, this Friday, 7 to 9, it's the first episode of Ego Drip. We'll be doing that every Friday. You can find my other podcast for my local radio station called Coco and the Bone. We are on Facebook. We are on SoundCloud. We just interviewed Duke the Dumpster Drosy on Friday, so that'll come out. You can find me on Instagram, like I said, Thomas.Cummings920. All my meet and greet photos are on there. And my cute puppy. You can find me on Twitter, Notorious_Bone. You can find me on TikTok, obviously, at Hambone, 3 A's, 3 O's. And all of my interviews are on there, too. Eddie Kingston and Eric Bischoff, probably my favorite ones. They're all on there. So, yeah, you can find me in all those places.
That is so awesome. And it has been such a pleasure for you to come on and on Learning the Ropes here. Like Mr. B-Roll said, like we were talking, it was funny because we were like, man, what should we talk about with Hambone? And we both kind of said at the same time, like FanFest. Yeah. So couldn't have asked for a better guest to come on and talk about this.
Interesting topic too, because I don't feel like I've ever really seen anybody else discuss it. So
yeah. So this has been a blast talking to you about FanFest, and I hope all you watching or will be watching. Like, if you have never been to a fan convention, or go. Yeah, it's really worth whatever price it is to get in, and it's awesome. Just meeting your favorites from all time, just being in close proximity with them, and just there's so much other cool stuff that goes on in them too, other than meeting the wrestlers, panels and vendors, and most importantly, the interactions with you're with family, with your interactions with wrestling fans. It's awesome. I can't encourage you all enough to get out and check out a fan festival.
We never talked about, one of the things we were going to talk about was what you should and shouldn't do at a fan fest.
That's true. We better cover that real quick. Yeah.
I'm giving you one thing. Number 1, wash your fucking ass. Wear deodorant.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that natural shit either. You better go get something that's got chemicals in it so that you smell good the entire day.
This is true.
Stop it. Wash your ass.
We've all been there, I think. We've been around, waiting in line. You're like, oh, my God, what's that smell? Yeah, it happens more often than not.
Between the cheeks. That's what I mean specifically. I'm not just talking about the buns. You got to go where the smell's coming from.
If you have to buy 2 separate sticks of deodorant, do it. Have one for your ass, one for your pits. It's fine.
Exactly.
Label that shit. Take a Sharpie to it. One's for ass, one for pits. Do whatever you got to do. But you're absolutely right. I'll tell you one thing, too, man. Not to get too personal, too, but one of the greatest things in the world, get you some of the body spray, too. Oh, my God. I don't call it body spray. I call it ball spray. Just get down there. Oh, you feel so fresh and so clean all fucking day. Yeah. What a perfect way to end this show, right, Mr. Beaver?
Yeah, you guys are killing
On that note,
my goodness.
Wash your ass and good night, everybody.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, everybody, for checking out Learning the Ropes. And once again, thank you to our guest, Hambone. Do not forget to check him out at all of his places, and especially this upcoming Friday with this new show. It's been an awesome show, gentlemen. Can't thank you all enough. And, hey, Everybody have a great week, and hopefully it's not going to be too crazy of a fucking week in wrestling. Like, maybe we can get some... Yeah, scissor me! Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week on a brand new episode of Learning the Ropes.
Peace.
Peace.